I am sitting in my car. I had to come in my car to do this video because my room lighting is trash. So I'm sitting in my car, but I'm about to go back in the house because it's like 3:30 and I have a 5 o'clock client today. I think she's going to like a Christmas party, so she's getting like a natural beat. Today was really slow for me. I'm literally just not getting up. Yesterday was Christmas. Christmas was late. I should have vlogged Christmas, but because 17 days of Slay is literally supposed to be like about like my life leading up to my birthday, I guess, and just content. I didn't want to do Christmas, like a Christmas vlog, because when you guys see the footage, it won't be Christmas anymore. It'll be a whole new year. So that's why I didn't vlog Christmas. But Christmas was lit as fuck, okay? But I'm pretty much what I always look like. Do-rag on, lip gloss, no makeup, dramatic eyelashes. I'm really a lash girl. Like, I cannot live without my eyebrows being waxed and lashes. Really long, full, dramatic lashes. The lash that I have on right now came from Shay Glam 00 on Instagram. And if you use my code TAE capital V, I'll put that in the description of this video, then you can get 15% off. That's pretty much it for right now. So I will see you guys in a little bit. So here I am using the Crayon Case color pencil in the color Bear to sculpt my client's brows out. I like to start with underlining the brow first before I go on top and then fill in. I don't draw the line at the top all the way to the front of the brow, just because it makes it a little more natural to me with the finished look. Once my client's brows are shaped to my liking, I'm going to go in and conceal them with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the color Sand. And I'm using my small concealer brush from Wet n Wild. I really love this brush, and it's only $1 at your local Walgreens or Family Dollar store. Once I am done carving out the brow bone, I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush. And I'm using small circular pat motions to smooth out that concealer all over the lid. Before I go in with my eyeshadow, I want to make sure that the base is smooth and that there is no fine line. Now that my base is smooth, I'm going to go in with my Wet n Wild large shadow brush. And the palette that I'm using for this look is the Morphe 350M palette. And I'm going in with the darkest brown and a medium brown out of that palette. And I'm patting them down on the lid before I work my way out, creating this brown smoky eye. Once I have the lid covered as much as possible, I'm going to switch to my favorite blending brush. This brush comes from the Polka Dot set by BH Cosmetics. And I'm going to take the medium brown of the two browns, and I'm going to use circular motions to work that outwards into the crease. Once I blend out that first round of shadow, I'm literally just going to go back in with that large shadow brush and pat down the darker brown and switch back between brushes to get the pigmentation that I want for this brown smoky eye. Before I go in on her other eye with the shadow, I had noticed that the concealer has started to crease a bit, so I just grabbed one of my Crayon Case brushes and smoothed it back out before I repeat the same steps that I did on the first eye on the second one. Once I have her shadows as smooth and as pigmented as I think they should be for a brown smoky eye, I'm going to go in with that same concealer brush, and I'm using the LA Pro Girl concealer in the color Toffee to highlight underneath her eyes. I forgot to mention this before, that my client was already prepped with the mattifying primer before I started this video. So once I am done highlighting the area of the face to highlight, I'm going to go in with the Black Radiance True Complexion Cream Contour in medium to dark. And I'm using the e.l.f. Small Contour Brush to go ahead and carve out the bridge of her nose as well as sides of her face. And I'm going to use a small disposable sponge to blend out the highlighted areas, but not to blend out her contour. Just so you guys know, the sponge I'm using is dry. It is not wet. I don't like to use wet sponges because I feel like you don't get a good use of all of your product when you wet the sponge. I feel like it kind of seeps into the sponge, and then you end up using more product on the sponge, dirtying up the sponge, as opposed to getting that coverage on the face. Once I'm done blending with the sponge underneath her eye and in the center of her chin, I'm going to take the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush that I used earlier, and I'm going to blend out the concealer that's in the middle of her forehead, and I'm going to also take that down the bridge of her nose. I like to do my concealer and contour this way because I feel like it leaves the face with a more naturally defined application as opposed to going in with the foundation first. Now I'm going to take my e.l.f. Small Stipple brush to blend out the contour of her cheeks. But I'm not going to use that brush to blend out the contour of her nose. I'm going to wait until I get to the foundation step to blend that out. Once I am done blending out the contours of her cheeks, I'm going to go in with my Real Techniques contour brush to buff in the foundation on the outer edges of the concealer. And I'm also going to use that brush to swipe right underneath my cream contour so that my line is very defined and sharp, and I'm going to buff that foundation downward onto the neck. I like to use this brush because it's a really flawless application, and this brush is really easy to clean. I'm sure as makeup artists, we all hate cleaning brushes, so if you can get a good brush that buffs into the skin really good and it's easy to clean, stick with it no matter what the label says. The foundation that I'm using to buff into the skin is the Milani 2-in-1 Conceal and Perfect Foundation in the number 14, which has become my new favorite foundation. For the nose contour, I'm going to take that same foundation, and I'm using a brush from the crayon case. I'm not sure what this brush is, but it's kind of like a fluffy brush, and I'm going to use it to drag the foundation down to the concealer so that there's a smooth gradient and there are no harsh lines. I'm going to go back in with my foundation brush to pat underneath the highlighted area so that everything is all smooth and one even tone. Well, not one tone because the face doesn't have one tone, but so that the colors are all evenly blending into each other. So now I'm just patting and smoothing out, and I'm going to go back in with my cream contour just to add a little bit more because I lost some in the foundation process. And I'm going to drag the foundation down to the neck before I go in to set my client's face. Now to set, I am going to use the Air Sponge Translucent Powder in Extra Coverage. After I smooth out any fine lines that have begun to set in place because my client's been looking down and we've been talking, we've been laughing, and you don't want to set those lines as is. You want to go back over and smooth them out. So I'm just using that same disposable brush. I didn't pick up any concealer, but sometimes you may have to pick up concealer if it has dried a little bit. But in this case, I didn't have to pick any up. So I'm just going straight in with that translucent powder after I've smoothed everything over. And I'm going to go in with the I'm going to go in on the highlighted area. Sorry, once I have my areas of highlighting set, I'm going to go in and set my cream contour with the Ruby Kisses Never Touch Up Matte Powder Foundation in the color Ebony with the small stipple brush. And then I'm going to go in with the MAC Blush in Fever after I swipe down the bridge of her nose with that contour. And I like to do this because it gives the contour a great gradient. It doesn't leave like such a harsh line between the dark and the lighted areas. Now I'm going to go in with my Maybelline 360 Powder Foundation, and I'm using a blending brush. I don't know what this brush is, but it came from a BH Cosmetics set, and I'm going to use that to buff away all of that translucent powder. Once I've dusted away all of the translucent powder, I'm going to further go in on the contour and add warmth back into the face with the Kiss Professionals Blush in Geranium. We wanted to add a pop of color to this look, so I'm going to take the Crayons Case Box of Color Crayon Palette, and I'm taking that blue shadow and I'm smudging it underneath the waterline with a smudge brush from the Polka Dot BH Cosmetics sets. Actually, I went in with the Take Me to Brazil BH Cosmetics palette first, and I used the darkest blue out of that one, and then I went in with the Crayon Case blue. It doesn't matter which blue you use. You don't have to use both. I personally use both, just so that I would make sure that that blue was a really intense pop underneath the eye. Now I'm going to go in and dust away any fallout that may have taken place while I was smudging the blue in her waterline. And I'm going to use my blending brush to blend out those harsh lines at the front of her brow. And then I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. highlighting brush after I have sprayed my client's face with setting spray. And the highlighting powder that I'm using is the Crayon Case highlighting powder in Anglola. And as you can see, I'm taking the highlighting powder and I'm starting it at the apples of her cheeks. And then I'm working my way back before I go back in with my contour, just to make sure everything is smooth over. And then I'm going to take a disposable spoolie to brush out the front end of her brows because I don't want them to have that harsh line. So I'm using a spoolie to blend out her front end of her brows so that they're as natural as possible before I go back in with the actual brow pencil to define and carve them out a little bit more, because in the foundation process, you kind of lose the crispiness of the brow. Then I'm going to take my blending brush to just further blend out underneath the brow bone. Now for the lips, I actually don't know where this brown lip liner is from or the brand because this was a gift to me, but you can use any brown lip liner that you like. I love a brown lip liner and nude gloss combo. I'm going to go in with the lip gloss from LA Colors in the color Sensual, and I'm using a disposable lip wand to apply that before I go in with the clear gloss to help blend out those two colors and make sure that the gloss is as juicy as possible. And we are all done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to insert pictures and videos of the final look, and I look forward to you guys tuning in to the next one. Bye. Okay, that's fine. Look at me.